Zimbabwe football family is buzzing. But unfortunately, the buzz is not about the Warriors or the mighty Warriors. Good evening. I'm Guthrie Winyuki and welcome to Vantage. Tonight on the program, we have Advocate Luckson Muradzikwa, or Mura, an avowed Arsenal football fan. Welcome, Mr. Muradzikwa.
Thank you, sir.
In my introduction, I said there is a buzz. The Zimbabwe football family is buzzing. Unfortunately, it's not about our local football or our participation as Zimbabwe on the international football arena. It's about the looming EPL, La Liga, Bundesliga, Liga 1 seasons. And you being Arsenal, you start the season rolling on August 5, next week Friday, away to Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. Give me your top 4 predictions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Guthrie. To start with, obviously, my Arsenal will be in top 4. That's my prediction. Okay. We will not be too ambitious. I will say Manchester City, obviously, will retain the championship. Liverpool, we don't take it as well for granted. They are in the run, despite losing Sadio Mane. And the other team, which might end up in the top 4, Chelsea is a competitor as well. And Manchester United, I will give them a chance based on the return of CR7. I will give them a chance to at least have a chance to compete.
So your top 4, not in that order, but Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal.
Correct.
So my beloved Manchester United, Europa again, Tottenham Hotspur, your bitter rivals, not in the Champions League. Oh, great. Anyway, that's about those people. Let's talk about our own football.
Yes.
Mr. Muradzikwa, or Advocate Muradzikwa.
Yes.
Let me call you Advocate. I want to stick to Advocate.
Yes, Mr.
Advocate Muradzikwa. There is despondence. There is disappointment. Most football-loving Zimbabweans are not happy with the state of local football. Why are we here?
Well, yes, our state of football has been deplorable, to say the least. We know we are a football-loving nation, and the standards that we have seen in our football, I would say they are not pleasing. One, you will note, for instance, the games that have been being played right now, the attendance itself. Here in Harare, in most as well stadiums across the country, except in Bulawayo, where we have Highlanders and other teams there is a better attendance. But you will note from the attendance itself that it's not the state of football that was there before.
Mm-hmm. I grew up a Cape United loving fan. But whenever Cape United was playing away in the 80s, I would still go to Rufaro Stadium and watch Dynamos,
yes,
hoping that Dynamos would be beaten. Not that I would be rooting for Dynamos.
Against.
That time we had football administrators like John Madzima, the late John Madzima. We had the late Job Gadengu, the late Nelson Jumbo Jet Chirwa. Top-notch football administrators.
Yes.
But we also saw, even after high school, that the attendances were quite massive. So does this speak to the maladministration in the game?
Basically, yes, it does speak to that. It goes to that route as well. Look, you have mentioned the John Madzima administration. We have seen about it, we have read about it. It was perfect. We have come along as well. I know the administration of, let me say, when Rafik Kani was at SIFA, remember? Mm-hmm. what happened to Zimbabwean football. For instance, I think that's the first time that Zimbabwe qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations under his chairmanship. In the PSL as well, we actually had PSL administrators, the likes of the late Mandibuya Mtefa and so on. They were sort of good administrators, and the administration, you could see by the quality of football that was there, the number of players that would have imported, the number of teams that would be playing in the CAF competitions, and their progress as well. Right now, if you ask me, players who are playing, perhaps let me say for Dynamos, I wouldn't know majority of them, but like the administrators that you have mentioned, the likes of Matsima, we could know the first 11 of Dynamos and all the players we have been playing there. What was that? What was the reason for that? It was because there was something good which was being done by the administrators. Right now, you can't even mention a starting 11 of your rival team, maybe Islanders. It shows that our football administration has gone down.
Okay. You know, I'd like to take you back to the real football structures, because you are well faced with football.
Yes.
The real football structures. During our time, you had the area zones where people would say, okay, they are playing amateur league, but
Correct.
they were area zones. In Chitungisa, there are many who might still be around who remember KTS Football Club.
Yes.
It was called Kunaka Trading Store Football Club, where you had a gem in the form of Lloyd Mutasa, who went on to play for the national team and coached several premiership teams. He came out of that. Now, given where we are,
Yes.
and what you are saying, do you think that the route that we are taking as the country, particularly on insisting that we've got to risk the wrath of the supreme football authorities like FIFA, do you think that we can correct all these things?
Yeah, we can correct, as long as, like you've mentioned the last part of your question, you mentioned FIFA and as well CAF.
All right. We will correct that.
Yes.
After the break.
Correct.
Please don't go away. You are watching Vantage. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, we have tonight in the studio Luckson Muradzikwa, Advocate Luckson Muradzikwa, better known as Mura. Advocate Muradzikwa, before we went for the break, I'd posed a question at you where I was saying that we are where we are. The state of the national football is deplorable. And fans, they have been voting with their pockets. They are not attending matches, even at a domestic level.
Yes.
Now there's an insistence by both the SRC and the Football Restructuring Committee saying that we've got to go ahead with our plan, even in the face of a ban by FIFA and recently by CAF. Why should we be indignant?
Thank you, Guthrie. It's something that is worrisome to most football-loving persons or followers. Look, the position of FIFA and CAF in this matter is very clear. It's in black and white. What they want for Zimbabwe to be readmitted into the football arena. Look, their position is reappoint the Kamambo-led board, and you are back in football. FIFA, SRC, they don't want to bend backwards and listen to that. SRC is adamant and saying, look, whatever that position that they will take, we are not going back. The ZIFA board still stands suspended, and the 3 members, Mr. Kamambo, Mr. Machana, and Mr. Malandule, still stands suspended, and they are not coming back to football. In that regard, we are having difficulties with respect to how the game is going to move forward. Look, we can't have a football without funding. We have funding from FIFA, we have funding from CAF. And when CAF and FIFA is saying, ZIFA, may you please stop using the funds which are in your accounts which have been given to you by CAF and FIFA, where do we expect to be moving forward when we actually don't have revenue or funds that can leave us with something to do with football? We don't have anything in our coffers. So, like you have said, the state of the football is deplored down. And previously, we used to have area zones, like you're saying. And at the moment, those area zones, I don't think they're still there. They are only there on paper. For the purposes of when they're going to elections, they just elect or call those persons from the area zones. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is our state of football cannot move forward without bending forward to the demands of FIFA and CAF. We actually need to bend backwards. Imagine there's only 4 months right now, 4 or 5 months before the term, the Kamambo term expires. We need to reinstate them. Then we are readmitted into football. Then perhaps if we are going to remove them, we remove them by way of an elective congress.
I hear you clearly. And also, FIFA and CAF are also clear. They have said that we have seen intrusions. Interference.
Yes.
We want you to reinstate this board.
Yes.
Whatever processes that we'll do later, that will be fine. But
yes,
there must be reinstatement, because we believe that there have been intrusions, there's been interference.
Yes.
Why would both the SRC and the interim ZIFA executive and the board as well want to be engaged in a zero-sum game with FIFA and CAF when it is clear that for things to move forward, they've got to take heed of what they've said? You are a lawyer. Why would they want to do that? Legally, what's supposed to happen?
Thank you again. Like I've been saying, it's written in black and white what FIFA and CAF wants. As a lawyer, I will say we need to follow that directive. Besides following that directive, we are not going to be readmitted into football anytime. Look, the FIFA statutes, for instance, Article 52 is very clear on interference of with respect to football. We have seen it. It happened to cricket. Yeah, when SRC had suspended the current chairman of ZC Zimbabwe Cricket, Mr. Mkuhlani. Their stance was very clear that if you want to come back to cricket, you just need to reinstate that board. And the cricket guys didn't even take long to be readmitted after the Mkuhlani-led board was reinstated. That's exactly what our SRC as well has to do with respect to this matter. The same guys who have readmitted the ZC, the Zimbabwe Cricket Board, should also do the same to the ZIFA board.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly, the SRC chairperson, Mr. Gerard Mloshwa, was the same person who was actually at SRC
At that time, yes.
at that time.
Yes,
And he had to rescind his decision.
correct.
And he's still the man at the helm of SRC. Why is he not seeing that it should follow the same pattern?
We actually act and we are guided by presidents. And precedents clearly has been set. And SRC had set precedents that they had dissolved that cricket board, and they bent backwards and reinstated the Mukushani led board as per the directive from ICC. That's exactly what FIFA and CAF is saying. Bend backwards, whatever that was done by the Kamambo-led board is not part of the SRC injunction that they need to look at. That's the interference.
Talking of precedents,
Yes.
we have set here a precedence that every time we need to pay rent.
Correct.
Please don't go away. You are watching Vantage. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the final segment of this week's Vantage. We have on the program tonight Advocate Luckson Muradzikwa. Advocate Muradzikwa,
Yes, Mr. Guthrie.
we're talking about the issue of precedence. And you were actually saying that the SRC, particularly the chairperson, should know that a precedent was set when they reinstated the Zimbabwe Cricket Board, having suspended them, and invited the wrath of the International Cricket Council. Now, their decision to suspend the Felton Kamambo-led board has also incurred the wrath of both FIFA and CAF. We have been very consistent in that unless you rescind this decision and reset these guys, Zimbabwe is not going to be among the football families of international football. Who is going to be a loser if we continue to believe that we are being held to ransom by FIFA and CAF when they make these decisions, which also have got a precedence? Who is going to be the ultimate loser?
The ultimate loser in this matter, in this case, ultimately is football itself. And when I say football itself, I mean the football players who are involved, the country itself. Imagine recently we had the AWCON, if they call it AWCON for women.
Yes.
We did not participate, one. Two, we had the recently held COSAFA, where we did not as well participate because of the ban. We actually lost a ticket to play qualifiers for the World Cup as well, and the 2023 AFCON qualifiers. So basically that alone, it shows that football is the loser. More to that, once there is no funding on football loses as well, because FIFA and CAF have stated that you should not touch our accounts. You should not use our monies that we have deposited in your accounts. And ultimately, the position is that at the end of the day, football is the loser.
FIFA and CAF, they give grants and developmental funds.
Yes.
Also, ZIFA, naturally, they earn their revenue from the levies from the PSL, but there are no crowds. And they also earn part of their revenue from the participation by the national teams, and the national teams are banned. So the picture that we are painting here is all downhill. What should we do to make sure that we hold this slide towards downhill?
Well, it's very clear what needs to be done. FIFA and CAF have said you should reappoint the Kamambo-led board, Felton Kamambo-led board. Once we have not done that, we are not going to be readmitted into football. FIFA have said that you should not use our accounts or our monies. Like you have said, FIFA, PSL, they only get funds from perhaps affiliations, from the 5 or 10% that they get from gate takings. And you have actually said that there are no funds who are coming to watch our matches. So revenue, there's no revenue generation which is coming into the FIFA pockets or PSL pockets. Ultimately, if we don't have that grant from FIFA or in CAF, exactly, football loses as well. And now going forward, what we only need to do is we heed the call by FIFA and CAF, do what they want, and we do our necessary in-house things, like perhaps if you want a restructuring committee that has been appointed and so on, which is not in this case as well being recognized, and an interim FIFA board which is there as well, which is not being recognized by FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
So we just actually need to bend backwards, reappoint the Felton Kamambo-led board, then FIFA makes their decision, and I'm sure if ever we have reinstated them, we are readmitted into football.
Mm-hmm. You are a lawyer. In your legal parlance, you use the word, it's either you approbate
or reprobate.
Or reprobate.
Yes.
So, in this case, will that be seen as victory for Zimbabwean football, even for these people that we're talking about, the SRC and the Interim FIFA Board, to realize that they've got to do the right thing, bend backwards, and approbate?
Actually, at the end of the day, we all say football should be the winner, and there's no one who should win except football. So there's no victory for SRC, there's no victory for FIFA in this case. Football is to be the winner, and it is the one who is supposed to be a victor.
Mm-hmm. So, in your view, do you think that eventually there's going to be convergence between those who are saying that, like you, let's take heed of what FIFA and CAF have said, and SRC, so that Zimbabwe is readmitted into international football?
Yes, I believe that if we have good administrators, either at SRC or the interim FIFA board which have been appointed, if ever we want football to be the winner, we need to heed that call and do the necessary, what is needed by FIFA and CAF. But my own view with respect to whether or not the same guys, that is SRC, is it going to bend backwards or not? Like the stance they have shown us, it's clearly that there's no need for them to bend backwards, and they are not in a position to rescind their decision. And in this case, we are going to suffer, and football is going to be the loser.
A friend of mine used to say, suffer continues. Mr. Muradzikwa, on that note, I would like to thank you for having made time to be with us here on Vantage. We really appreciate your time. And I truly hope that by the end of the season, your prediction will have come true. Good luck for next week, Friday, against Crystal Palace.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Mr. Guthrie, and viewers.
Thank you. For us, who believe in Manchester United's resurrection, we continue to hope that Eric Ten Hag will do wonders. And for the millions of Zimbabweans out there who believe that their football should be taken back to the pedestal level of competition within Africa and the rest of the world, that something would be done. This dog chasing its tail scenario would end, and the Warriors will be readmitted back into the football arena.